Appalachian Podcast. I'm your host, Billy Riddle. With me, once again, co-host Jeff Taylor, Bodine.
Jethro Bodine.
Welcome to the side of this beautiful mountain today.
Interesting little spot they got here.
We got a great show here for you today. Got a lot to talk about. Been looking forward to this show for an awful long time. We're always, we're always appreciative when we get these special guest co-hosts to come on today. To come on with us most times, like Josh Grice come on for music, or Kyle, or, Julian for the racing shows. Well, for today's show, we're bringing back one of our favorite guests. And when I say favorite, not just by us, but the reactions that we get from the people who listen. They want to hear him more, and we're here today to give you more. So welcome back again, guest co-host Simon Winch.
He talks a little funny.
Here we go. Instantly recognizable.
Your mic's off, Simon.
Come on, dear. Let's sort that out. We have a technical error.
Nah, it's fine.
There we go.
Errors. That's our trademark.
We just checked it 5 times before we started.
I didn't turn the mic off. It's our trademark.
Actually, I'm going to hold my hand up and say I'm the one that turned it off.
Well, you've been better just keeping your mouth shut. We could have held it on Bodine and kind of ran with that. But either way, Simon, welcome back.
It's always a pleasure to be here. Always.
And this is a perfect show for you to come sit on with us. I've been wanting to do this show for a long time, and I've talked about it. And for anybody that doesn't know, we are here today at Pigg River Precision, which is a shooting range. We're going to get to all that. And today they're doing a competitive shoot. So Brad Kennett, Lawn Works, catch that on Facebook, fantastic landscaper, had invited us down here to come be a part of this and look into it. And, of course, Simon is a 2A absolutist like I am, and we've just kind of been hanging out down here today. And a Shall Not Be Infringed theme has been coming for quite some time on the show. I'm finally glad today we're able to bring it to the audience.
At a very appropriate location as well, I may say.
A shall not be what? Oh,
shall not be infringed.
I got you. I thought you said friends, and I was like, what? I was like,
this is why I invited you on today, Simon.
Yeah, as an Englishman, and the Second Amendment and all that good stuff. Yeah, I feel that's quite appropriate. It could be rather contentious later. I am fairly opinionated about this, being a big supporter of the Constitution, in particular the Second Amendment. So it's great to be here, and all I'm hearing at the moment are
bangs.
Lots of rifles being fired, and it's just fantastic.
Don't you just love long rifles and the sound?
And the smell. Me and Simon.
Yeah, the smell.
Oh, yeah.
There's nothing like the smell of gunpowder in the morning.
Roger that. Yeah, especially when you're downwind.
Yeah, I like that. Yeah, I do. I like the smell of it.
And what they've got going here today, and this isn't going to be just a solely politically based, in your face, shall not be infringed episode, but it is going to be an episode where we, speak about guns and weapons and probably have some competitors come on here today. And we'll get into politics a little bit, maybe here in the introduction before we bring any of those guys on, because, I don't want to weigh it down. But, you have to kind of grab the bull by the horns and acknowledge the fact that it is a conversation that needs to be had, just about something like this up here today, which, and I was telling you this as we got here, Simon, as somebody who has a military background, this place with the cadre, the lanes, everything from top to bottom is so much greater and far superior to anything I ever saw in the military, safety-wise. It's mind-boggling. So if you're somebody who didn't know much about guns or have any idea about them or what their capabilities are, or even the sports side of it, if you come up here today, you'd have to be impressed with the safety.
Yeah, it's an impressive setup they've got here. Some of my past history was back in the UK at the Bisley and Purbright ranges, which are some of the long ranges that the British Army use. And then I forget which way round it is, and I think Purbright may have been the civilian equivalent, and they're virtually on opposite sides of the road. So they were set up, not necessarily for 1,000 metres, I don't think at the time, but what we're looking at here is 1,000 metres.
What's this meter
stuff? Here we go. Here we go. All US military range work is done in metres. So,
but then they convert it to for us.
Well,
No, they don't.
today it is.
The US Army,
know.
everything is done in meters. I guarantee.
But they got to convert it for stupid people like me that can't do the conversions quick. Somebody does.
Someone's got to do it, right?
Yeah.
Well, here today, I believe
They'll
they're
say
going by
meters, and I'll
yards.
say, how many feet is that? Or how many yards is that?
Yeah, rightly so.
I'm not very.
No, I mean, it's obviously it's more precise, so that's why they use it. But
Well, but even for everything going on here today, I mean, I'm super impressed with the layout, with the safety, with how everything is going on, and for Simon, you're kind of the weapons expert of us all, so just give for a general idea for everybody listening, just kind of paint a picture of what's going on up here, what kind of weapons they're using, the objects and everything like that.
Well, I mean, I haven't had a good close up with all the weapon systems here, but they are predominantly, if not exclusively, bolt action long guns.
yep.
I suspect of varying calibers from some of the reports that we're listening to now. The big thing about them is some of them have even been suppressed.
Yeah.
Which and you really can hear the difference. They do work. It's not a whisper mode, but it certainly doesn't make it quite so offensive.
There was one that sounded like an airsoft gun. It was
some of them
heavily
and
suppressed.
that may have been a subsonic round, perhaps.
I'd say it was, considering
Possibly.
But
But we're looking what we're looking at there are some $10,000 rifles.
Yeah.
And that's including the optics that are going on these things, and these guys are consummate professionals. I mean, they know their craft, they know their trade. They are skilled marksmen and markswomen here, which is great to see. The sporting aspect of precision rifle shooting is here in Franklin County.
It was pretty incredible to see the diversity there and how many different, and not just the people, but the different types of guns and how badass looking they are. And it looks like they've took a little bit, the profiles changed over the years. You used to see the traditional hunting rifle and something like this, and they've kind of took a lot of the look from the, I don't want to say the wrong word here, but they're politically called assault rifles, but that's not the proper term. Like an AR-15 platform is what they are. That type of.
Yeah, they're accepting a magazine in so much as the AR platform. Inspired by the AR platform, I wouldn't go quite that far, because really,
just a similar look.
Goodness sake,
He's a popular man.
it was our friend Amos.
He should know we're doing a show right now. That's very inconsiderate.
That's actually so rude.
We're going to have a.
But yeah, the rifles that we're looking at really are long guns rather than an AR platform. They're accepting magazines. They're all bolt action, I say predominantly. They've all got these wonderful adjusted stocks for cheek weld and all this good stuff, and they are, each rifle is different in so much as they're custom made for the shooter. These are not off the shelf rifles, I can tell you that much. And they are not cheap. But goodness me, they are extremely accurate.
And they really have. I like the cool stocks and the barrel. What's the thing on the end of the barrels? I forget the
There's flash hiders or suppressors.
Yeah, it was really unique to seeing the diversity in them.
Yeah.
But what's the heat thing where you see them in the AR platforms? I can see what it is, and I forget
The hand guards?
I guess so. Yeah.
Yeah,
I just like it, and what I'm talking about is physical look characteristics. I just like the look of them. They look really cool.
Well, they've got heavy barrels for the most part. None of these rifles are lightweight. So with accuracy, you're running heavier milled parts. Like I say, the accuracy behind these builds and the tolerances that they're messing with, you don't just buy off the shelf.
That or the rounds that are loaded into them. That's what I was thinking about.
That's another entity in itself. Whether they're matched grade rounds, which are considerably more expensive than manufactured rounds. Then you go max grade. A lot of these guys will be hand loading their rounds for their specific rifle. So yeah, I mean, this is the skill set here is sublime.
Yeah. And one thing I was thinking about is the suppressed rounds. And I'm thinking about on the range, I wonder how much that really hurts. I know it hurts the range on those rounds. I mean, on those guns, doesn't it?
Say that again.
The suppressors, isn't there a considerable effect to the range on those, or the accuracy downrange?
The fact that they're on these rifles would say probably not.
That's what I was thinking. It's like that was kind of the way I've always thought there was, but must not be, considering.
But it's really taking the gases and redirecting them.
Yeah.
So the round has already got the punch and velocity coming out of the barrel. I'm not 100% sure.
That would be a good question for.
This is going to be a question that we're going to pin down on one of the shooters.
Because it was just an observation of mine. I was like, when we were up there, I guess we was up there about an hour, and I seen multiple suppressed rifles, some more than the others, and like you say, probably subsonic rounds in some of them. But again, you're going to lose some range on that. But definitely with subsonic rounds.
Oh, with subsonic, yeah, no
Absolutely.
question. Yeah. It's the weight of these rifles as well. I mean, they're heavy. You don't want to be lugging those around.
Now you could see that.
Yeah.
And it was cool because it was all timed. Like the timer went off. You went, and the guy gave instructions. It was really cool. He had instructions. You shoot each. You had, I counted 10 stations probably, and each station had a different setup. And the guy gave instructions. You'll go prone here for 2 shots. You'll do 2 shots this way, 2 shots. Yep. I think it was, I don't know, 12 to 15.
It was up to 12. I think it was 12 rounds on one particular station. The one with the big tractor tires looked very challenging. Where a tire is on the side or a tire is held vertical.
And it moved a little bit. It had a little flex to it.
Absolutely. So every round that you're punching down range actually has some of that energy bouncing on the tire. So these are very challenging shooting stations. And I think they're doing it as almost team events where shooting teams are rocking up here and they're going to each station to do a timed sequence of shots on a variety of different targets. So it's not all one target, there was, and different ranges as well. So, they're testing their metal. Absolutely.
Yeah, it's cool. Billy's got a thought here.
Well, and for anybody that might not be well adversed in weapons, guns, or anything like that, when you're talking about bolt action, so if you were just an average person who didn't know a thing about guns and all you were going off was the overblown media description of rifles, you would come in here and you would look at some of these rifles, you would immediately probably get anxiety, and you would immediately take these and associate them with all the bad things that come around. Not even, and the average person wouldn't even understand it's not semi-automatic at all. Like bolt action.
If you're a flake.
Yes, when you say bolt action, yes, you can slap a magazine in there, but every time you fire that rifle, you got to pull the bolt back and charge it again. So
that's what I love.
Remove the spent round, and you have to, when you put the bolt forward, you're putting a fresh round up the spout. So there is a manipulation involved. It is not automatic. It is not semi-automatic.
And that changes everything, not just for the convenience.
It improves accuracy enormously.
Well, I meant if you had a semi-automatic, for example, you can hold that position, bang, bang, bang. When you've got to come out of your position, focus on running the bolt, and then putting another round in the chamber, but that takes your focus off, and you got to focus back on that target. When it was a semi-auto, you're aimed on the target constantly.
Well, and when you see how they're doing their bolt manipulations, I didn't see anyone doing anything different than anybody else. Mm-hmm. It's a very ergonomic manner in how they reload the rifle with the bolt.
I've seen one lefty.
But and again, this goes against all the military schooling and teaching, where you are taking your fire control hand off the weapon to reload it. That's a big no-no with a lot of these semi-automatic rifles and combat rifles and what have you that are in the marketplace, you're always going to be keeping your hand on your fire control and never relinquishing it. There's only a few manipulations that you might do that. But here, you're taking your fire control hand and manipulating the bolt, which, goes against all the current military teaching on these AR style platforms. But horses for courses. If you want accuracy, you're going to use a bolt action rifle.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah, so it's just a lot of this is about perception, and a lot of these things, people get in their minds that they're big, long, scary rifles, and they can take out a company of men driving up the road. No, it's not like that. These are very precise, very accurate weapons that one shot, and it goes to a greater argument of how different weapons are demonized. Like you could throw one of those gas powered weapons that we've been speaking of right next to another rifle with the same capabilities. One looks black, that is modeled after the M16 in the military, and people lose their minds. Another one just looks like a standard
Mini 14.
Yeah, and same capabilities.
Woodstock.
And you ask somebody who wants to rid the world of guns. I said, well, you can get rid of that one, but not that one. That one's okay. Just basically off a picture of a gun with the same capabilities. The people don't have their perception is all based on visuals.
Would this be the same horse shit that comes out of most politicians' mouths where this narrative is coming from? I believe so.
Well, I mean,
I even said it myself when I came in. You see a lot of influence from the AR platform into these. The stock design and stuff specifically is what I see. A lot of it's similar.
And that's all to do with ergonomics.
It is ergonomics. It's exactly what it is.
So, and as soon as you get a politician pontificating about, what is or what they're going to choose to demonize this week, it just gets very tedious because it lacks so much integrity and it's so disingenuous they lose their credibility.
You have to have these conversations. You have to reach the people and allow them to understand that the lies that have been driven by our political leaders, and especially here recently, our president came out with a statement basically proclaiming that a 9mm round will completely explode and blow out your lungs. Now, you're talking about the same weapon that is held by almost every police officer in this country and many of his Secret Service agents. Well, number one, it's an absolute lie. It's not going to blow out your lung. And number two, being disingenuous like that is just pushing the narrative in such a negative direction that eventually, at some point in time, how do you continue to pay attention to somebody who is clearly off his rocker? And
it's dementia. I can't explain it any other way.
But even if not him, there's other ones that make up these false claims about the capabilities of weapons when they're just not true.
Well, you hear it continuously from political circles that have their agendas. It's just such a poor education on a subject matter that I just don't even know where to go with it, to be honest with you. And I'm trying to keep my language a little bit more polite than perhaps my last visit. But, it's incredibly frustrating that these opinions are not challenged and that they actually go through the sieve of censorship within the White House team or whatever congressional team. These things are checked, they're spell checked. Have we got this? Have we got it grammatically correct? Actually, no. Let's not figure about being grammatically correct. Let's talk about being factually correct. You dumb son of a you-know-what. I'm sick of it.
And one of the big things is the hypocrisy that goes along with so many of their arguments. These are the same people who 2 summers ago were demanding that we abolish the police and demand that the police be disarmed and all of these things. And now here we are 2 years later saying, well, only the same very government should have guns. So which is it? Should the police be here or should they be the only ones with guns? Because if by your arguments, a lot of these cops, and this is an argument a lot of the lefties will make, are progressives. Let's not dilute it. A lot of these progressives will make, well, you know, you don't need a gun. Nobody needs a gun.
Congress has just passed the bills authorizing $40 million worth of anti-tank missiles to the citizens of Ukraine. Now, rightly or wrongly, it's still $40 million worth of weapons that is now being put in somebody else's hands. You can't have this both ways. If you want to have a proxy war, then have a real one. You know, because what you're doing here is destabilizing. It's already a destabilized area, but you've got to ask the deeper question. And that's another subject in its entirety. But as far as I can see, if you're in a proxy war, you're arming someone that you may agree with. But as the 80s proved, the Mujahideen, who were armed by the US and the CIA, those weapons came back on us. In Afghanistan. So, I don't know. I mean, where are we going with this? I don't bloody know.
I think Spike Cohen recently said it best. He said, and maybe not the exact quote, but basically what he had said is the American government is trying to arm the Ukrainian people because they are our allies. They are trying to disarm the Russians because they are our enemies. In unrelated news, U.S. government is trying to disarm American citizens, and
that should make everybody nervous.
Well, and the same people saying freedom for Ukraine and cheering on us arming them are like, we shouldn't have those weapons here. Well, I mean, you just spent 4 years saying that our previous president was literally Hitler, and now you think that only the same government that propped him up should have the weapons. Do you think it's going to be all Democrats in office forever? No. Do you honestly not think that the other side will not use that against you as well? That's the problem. It's two sides of the same bird. Whatever you cheer for now is going to come back on you later. And that's one thing, at least, out of all the things in the world, I can at least give credit to is these super commie Antifa guys. At least they understand that they are still pro-Second Amendment. Whether you agree with what they agree with or not, or whether you agree with their tactics, at least they're still pro-Second Amendment because they also understand that power comes from the end of a barrel. And I'm not saying that you should use it like that.
So does honesty.
But if somebody breaks into your house, who's got the power? It's the person who's got is at the opposite end of that barrel. So it doesn't. When I say power, I'm not necessarily meaning political power or territorial power. I'm just saying when it comes to your life.
Well, I would urge everyone in that regard who wants to tear the Second Amendment down for whatever reason, I'd ask you to go and reread it in its entirety and then make a judgment call on perhaps a new understanding of what the Second Amendment is.
I would also challenge you to come up to a competition like what's going on here today at Pigg River Precision. The professionalism, the safety standards, come up here and see that it's not, there are hundreds and hundreds of safe gun owners in this country. When you take away somebody's ability or right to bear arms, you turn them into a criminal overnight for no apparent reason whatsoever. When all these people up here are law-abiding citizens who are going to go back to their homes and their communities and go on about their business. You can't restrict something or take it away and expect that it's going to stop. Look at the war on drugs. How long have we been going on the war on drugs? They made them illegal. Has that stopped drugs from getting in here? No. The criminals are always going to find a way. So why are you trying to take away?
Who were running the drug cartels? Ooh, there's something slightly contentious there. Another three-letter agency. Oops.
Yeah, I was getting ready to say, we learned that in a movie. That was outlined well in a movie for those that didn't know that already.
Which movie was that?
One with Tom Cruise.
Yeah.
For those that didn't know that already, that was.
I thought we were talking about the one with Blow with Johnny Depp. But I mean,
no. What is the one with Tom Cruise? He was an airline pilot, and then he got canned. He left the airline to start taking.
I saw
pictures.
It fairly recently as well.
He started taking pictures for the CIA. And then by the time it was done, he was running the drugs back and forth for the cartel. And it was a true story. Trying to think of the name of that. It was an awesome movie.
I know exactly what you're talking about. And that's I mean, that's still going on here today, you know, Fast and the Furious, the Obama administration.
Don't think it's not.
We're running weapons down to the cartels, and those cartels ended up killing Border Patrol agents with those same weapons. That was a huge scandal that everybody just kind of sweeps underneath the rug. And I'm not against it. And, you know, and if you want to get right down to it, honestly, gun control in this country is some of the most racist laws that we have, and they were all aimed in the name of racism back in the 60s and 70s because of the rise of the Black Panthers. They wanted to have gun control to keep them out of their hands. Hey, and then you'll see a lot of these memes out here on the internet that'll say, "Oh, well, you know, give a weapon to every black person in the country and see how quick Republicans." No, everybody. I encourage every black person, Indian, Hispanic person, anybody, get a weapon, protect your family. I don't care if protect yours. I would hope everybody would get one.
Here's the kicker with some of these gun control laws that they're discussing. A lot of these control elements are actually passed as law. They're in place. They're just not being enacted. What's the expression I'm looking for? Anyway.
Well, they're not actually actively enforcing it.
They're not enforcing. That's what I was looking for. Now, and I can understand some of the conflict with trying to enforce these. And the one that I have an opinion on that could be slightly contentious, surprise, surprise, will be for mentally unstable people are not allowed to own firearms. That's not unreasonable. But the problem with enforcing that is that the HIPAA laws, when it comes to government and FBI checks that we have to do when you buy a firearm from a firearms dealer, you go through a background check. Now, going through the background check sounds like that's a wonderful thing and it catches everyone. Well, unfortunately, it doesn't, because you can't tie in with the FBI background check a medical check because of HIPAA. So they all fall through the gap. Now, until
basically, it's just an extortion. Yes, it's a loophole. Just to get you to pay money to.
Well, no, I'm not even saying that. I'm not. But there's an issue there. Now, I think anyone who's taking happy pills or anxiety pills, that's a mental issue. Should you be owning a firearm? That legislation is out there and it is directed, I think, at some of these people. You come off your meds and you're bipolar, you're a barking lunatic.
Yeah.
Okay? So do you want someone who's a barking lunatic, and bipolar just happens to be one of the things I've had experiences of, and not personally, I may add, that when you come off your meds, you think that you're doing the right thing for you. And this is a thing common with bipolar issues. They think they're okay, and they turn into barking lunatics. So they would be a prime example for someone who shouldn't own a firearm. Now, how do you go about legislating that when you've got the HIPAA laws in conflict with any FBI background check? So it's a quagmire.
Because in some ways, you do want the HIPAA laws to protect your personal information from the government, from
every
anybody.
Way you want them to protect.
So it is quite a bit of a quandary.
Yes, it is. It's a monster, because that would actually, and this has been the majority of so many issues. You've got someone who is mentally unstable, does these acts of violence, and next thing you know, the gun owners get the blame for it when it really is a mental health issue. And trying to legislate against that, your hands are tied. So we got to overcome that issue, because it's a mental health issue. It's not a gun issue.
Well, no, and this is why it's so hard to get through to some people, that you're not going to stop a motivated individual. If a motivated individual wants to do something, you take away their access to a weapon, they're going to jump behind the wheel of a car and they're going to plow into a bus stop and do the same thing. I mean, you can't legislate morality, and that's the problem. You can't stop a motivated person from committing an act. But what you can do is stop him from committing a worse act. So instead of him going in there and hurting or harming or maiming or killing 32 people, maybe you knock it down to 2 or 3 because you can't stop evil people. Evil has been in this world forever. It will continue to be in here, but you can minimize it, and you can make that next person think twice if he thinks that every Tom, Dick, and Harry in the area he's going into is all armed. Maybe he'll think twice.
Well, look at the robbery rates in Franklin County itself. You know, they are few and far between. Yes, they're on the increase, but for the most part, everybody knows in certain areas of the county, the community are armed to the teeth. You know, you're gonna think twice about driving up certain people's driveways. Now, whether that's a good thing or a bad thing, it certainly is a deterrent. So you can't deny that either.
You know, here's a great example. Timothy McVeigh, the Oklahoma City bombings.
Yeah.
We didn't outlaw fertilizer. That's what he used, fertilizer.
Yeah.
Well, I bought fertilizer just last weekend.
5-ton truck, box truck.
Fertilizer.
Yeah. But, you know, a very motivated, sick individual.
Or the gentleman here, I don't even say gentleman, that's giving him too much credit, but the individual who back during Christmas time ran through the parade in his vehicle, maiming and injuring kids and women and stuff like that. Like, look.
Same problem, different weapon.
Yes, so it goes back to mental health. And it goes back to what these people are on, what kind of medication some of these people have been described, what kind of life they've come up in.
Well, the simple truth is now, I came from a fairly affluent area in the southwest of London, sort of just outside of the metropolitan limits. And there used to be 3 mental health institutions there. They were a little bit Victorian, shall we say. But nonetheless, there were 3 mental health institutions. Now, as a young lad and a fairly sick individual myself, they were let out on these patients were let out on a Saturday morning into the market town where they'd wander around, you know, licking lampposts or whatever. Now, we'd sit outside a pub and we'd be laughing our asses off. And that was considered sport at the time. But my point here is that those hospitals no longer exist. Okay, they've been shut down, they've been torn down, and that the mental health is still here. Now, rather than treat mental health as an issue, I think they've decided that we can medicate the mental health out of these people by making them, you know, completely numb, docile, exactly. And medicating mental health is not the way to do it. You have to treat mental health. And it's funny how we've got onto this subject, but I feel fairly strongly about this, that medicating these folks that have these issues is not the long-term solution to this. Well, it's basically a crisis situation.
And how many instances have we come to find out after the fact? You know, when you have these events to where, well, these people were turned in. These people were given over. Their information was given over to law enforcement. The
FBI were on a watch list.
Yeah, exactly.
How many times have we heard that?
And nothing. Yeah. So, I mean, what's the point? If you're not gonna enforce or do what you're supposed to do, if you're too busy sending 14 FBI agents down to a pit stall in Charlotte over a pull rope, or whatever it is you're doing, wasting our time, or investigating Russian collusion for $35 million that turned out to be all untrue. You're wasting your time, effort, and resources on that. How are you be able to stop these shooters? No, you can't stop them. So what you really do is you go and trap some poor saps that are about half, dumb into saying some stuff on the internet, so you can go and parade around saying, "Look, we stopped these people." We all know what we're talking about.
Now look at all the knife attacks.
That's what I was going to bring up.
All the knife attacks that certainly went on and became prolific in the London Tube and around the city of London and other areas. Manchester, I believe, had some pretty horrendous knife attacks.
I'm surprised you can cut a steak still in the UK.
Well, and that again. That's what they're looking at. You can't own a knife, or you can't carry a knife, don't legislate that sort of thing out, because they'll just use something else. Next thing you know, they'll be using nailing hammers.
If they can get sharp objects in jail, you can shiv something down.
Exactly.
If
you can get a shiv made in jail, trust me, someone will use something creative.
You can make a gun out of a 3D printer now.
Oh, yeah, you
I
can.
wouldn't want to shoot the thing. But some of them. I mean, you're shooting
Just like
plastic.
anything else, the technology is getting better and
Yeah.
better. And they're able to withhold and withstand a little bit. You know, years ago, it was you would print one out and you get one shot and it'd be it. But nowadays,
Yeah.
Well, all these polymer frames and all that good stuff. Oh, yeah.
and that's the thing I try and relate to a lot of people when they think the walls are closing in on us and it can't get any worse. And oh my God, what are we going to do? Look, that's one thing about humans, and especially Americans. We find ways to adapt. We find ways to overcome. If they're trying to implement some kind of socialistic economy, we'll have a parallel economy that will exist, and many call that the black market. But things like that happen. We find ways to adapt.
It's actually thriving right now.
It is a black market.
Unfortunately,
it's a gray market now as well. Something they're calling it. Yeah, they're thriving everywhere, and that's not
Because you
a
might
bad
get some
thing.
sketchy stuff on. I don't know. You might get some sketchy stuff on the black market. I'm a little funny
Of course
about
you can. That's why it's called the black market. But you can also get the things that they've demonized that aren't really sketchy, but you're not going to stop. You're not going to stop people, ideas, or innovation.
Innovation. There you go. You have it there in one word.
Well, it's interesting because fully automatics are mostly illegal in the U.S.
Well,
But
no,
all it is a
I'm not-
spray and pray. I mean, they're using most of these shootings are semi-auto. I mean, I can't
But
remember
you're
a
not-
mass
but you-
shooting
but
that had
but
a
an
full automatic.
An automatic is essentially a weapon of war, and you are essentially spraying and praying. What you're trying to do is just keep the enemy's head down, so your actual sharpshooters can
Interesting.
basically move
Okay.
in on them. So you fire that, because I manned the SAW, the 249 squad automatic weapon when I was overseas, as well as a 50 cal machine gun, and basically you're just trying to keep people's heads down while your sharpshooters can engage on them. So
Or you got
it is
an
a spray and
assaulting
pray
force,
thing. But
yep.
I also agree that any American that wants one and should be able to have one should be able to get a.
Well,
automatic rifle as
that's
well.
what that Class 3 stamp is all about. So,
I don't think
you
you need
know,
a stamp.
I think for fully automatic weapons.
No. You need one. I don't think you
Absolutely.
should have to have one.
No, I don't think you should have to have one of those stamps for suppressors either.
Especially when it's only 2 people in the whole country that prove those things.
Yeah, exactly. And I'll tell you what, even if we were allowed fully automatic weapons, it's the last thing I'd be blasting.
I wouldn't have one.
Because I couldn't afford the bloody ammunition.
No.
Who can afford to feed?
Well, if we
a 240?
if we were to pull all these levels and layers back to the point to where it was,
Oh, yeah. It's
it
irrelevant.
would actually be affordable because there would be a market for it.
I suppose so, yeah.
I mean, that's how
And we're talking about a gas-powered gun. Imagine cleaning that thing. I've never cleaned one before. Were they a pain in the ass to clean?
They can be.
Yeah.
Especially if you're using dirty Russian ammunition. Did I say that out loud?
That's what we still get quite a bit of that dirty Russian ammunition around here.
Yeah, we got a load of it. By the way, using these 22 conversions, bloody Amos, I tell you, I'm going to have to
come
take
down
this.
here. What's he
Yeah.
doing?
Okay, let me step away from the mic.
Text him, tell him
Excuse
to come
me.
on down here.
Yeah, so back with the 22 conversion ammo for the...
Thank you for interrupting us, by the way, Amos.
thanks,
Blackwater Building
Amos.
and Custom Woodworking, where we do our Woodshop Chronicles episodes. So.
Indeed. In fact, he should be here, but there we go. He's not. He's baling hay and doing a good thing. These 22 conversions that a lot of folks started using with their AR platforms because the cost of ammunition went through the bloody roof, which may have been a slightly controlled issue as well, but let's not go there. So the 22 conversions that you use to save the cost of ammunition that you then pump through your AR just to keep all your muscle memory in good shape and all that good stuff. It's the filthiest ammunition to run through an AR, and cleaning an AR thoroughly is quite a task. So I would urge people not to run 22 conversions and 22 ammunition through your AR-15. It's built, primarily for a 5.56, and just leave it alone. Don't mess with it.
And there was nothing to change those out. The bolt carrier groups, all you had to swap out, and it was ready to rock, wasn't it?
Pretty much.
Different magazine.
Well, it was, different magazine. It was a bolt carrier group thing. You would lose your holdback on an empty mag. And there was a couple of silly little things. I mean, they often wouldn't feed or eject correctly because there's insufficient gas to run that ejection system. But it's just a filthy round to shoot. Awful stuff.
Well, then it's not going to run well, anyways. I mean, with it because of the filth and the stuff stopping the gas chambers.
And an AR-15 likes to be run wet. And
I don't blame it.
Well, hey, there you go.
Well,
I'm not falling for it.
Well, I'm glad you're having this conversation right now, and I bring it back. I know a lot of people out there don't want to fire repurposed ammo through their weapon, and that's fine and dandy. I am of the mindset that if it comes down to it, it's quality over quantity. About a year ago, telling Bodine, hey, come and get some of this repurposed stuff, and he was talking about getting it even cheaper online. I was like, that's that Russian nonsense.
Russian
You want to go ahead and get it for $25 a round, go ahead and get it.
But see, my purpose behind that was just running the gun and getting used to shooting.
Well, it's like playing a guitar or a piano or any instrument. If you don't pick it up and play it, you lose that skill set. That's the same with the rifle. It's pretty much the same with anything that you're using dexterous ability with.
Doesn't the steel case ammo, it uses up a lot of it, absorbs the oil in the chamber and stuff done. It runs through and gets gunked up easier.
Well, it's also got a lot to do with how steel expands differently than brass.
Absolutely.
So what will happen is the steel will expand quicker, and it will have feeding issues. And again, some of this Russian.
It does have feeding issues.
Oh yes, it will do. And certain rifles will be very, very particular with feeding them steel case ammunition. A lot of the Russian stuff as well is a hotter load, and that has inherent problems with feeding as well. So and that can actually damage your rifle. I mean, you start putting some really hot stuff through it. It's not going to work out in the long run too well for you. So I'm a big proponent of using, if you're not using factory brass ammunition, this repurposed, reused, reloaded brass from someone that knows what they're doing, because it's not just a case of slinging in a load of powder, sticking in a primer and banging on the bullet. That is not how you do it.
If I can get it for an extreme discount and stockpile, if somebody's busting into my house at 2 o'clock in the morning, whether it's repurposed or factory, it's going to get the job done, and that's what I'm more important.
You just need something to go bang at that point.
Exactly. I want something to go bang. If it's going to work, it's going to work.
At the end of the day, it's training ammunition, and
I might have to train in on whoever breaks into my house.
Well, actually, one of our guys uses, and he's done a splendid job with the ammunition that he's purchased, and if it's done properly, why not? You've got to size it, trim it, cut it. You've got to do all the right stuff. You've got to use the right primers. Some of this Russian rubbish uses hard primers, and you've got to use an upgraded spring on your trigger, or you've got to use a slightly extended firing pin, so to make the things go bang, because a standard 5.56 or 2.23 rifle has to be upgraded to fire some of this hardened Russian primer junk. I'm not a fan of it. It's as simple as that. I mean, there's a number of people will not run steel case through their rifles, and I totally understand.
Yeah.
Well, I'm not somebody, and I've had people accuse me before simply by making a comment online here or there, that I am a gun nut, and I'm actually not. I don't prescribe. I don't have a lot of weapons sitting around. I'm kind of under the mindset of a quote from Sam Elliott in the movie We Were Soldiers, if you've never seen it.
Brilliant.
Sam Elliott plays a sergeant major as good as anybody has ever played the role in any military film. And at one point in time in the film, Mel Gibson looks over at him. He says, "You're not going to grab one?" I can't remember. It wasn't quite the M16 back then. It was the first iteration of it, maybe an M14 or whatever it was. But Mel Gibson, the Lieutenant Colonel, Hal Moore, who he was playing, looked over at Sam Elliott's character, the sergeant major, and said, "You're not going to carry one of these weapons?" And he's like, "There'll be plenty lying around when I need it." You know what I mean? And that's kind of my thing. Like, if you want to collect a lot of weapons, great. I wish I could. I wish I had the means to, and I will when I do get the means. But if I don't, look, if you're doing it to protect yourself from the worst case scenario, there will be plenty lying around if you know what you're doing. Just educate yourself, know what you're doing, know how to
Practice.
operate your weapon, practice, go out with people who know how to, and you don't have to go spend $5,000 on a weapon. You'll be able to adapt and overcome like many of us do.
And the AR I bought has it actually was custom built at mine was custom built in Roanoke at Safe Side, and I paid dearly for it. But they told me I could run any ammo I wanted through it.
I know somebody who can customize some rifles. I'm not going to mention his name on right now, but he's very, very prolific and probably could hook you up with. We don't give away names on here. And just to saying, if you want to find somebody,
unless we're dropping a minute,
you probably know some of these people. Reach out to them. Figure out ways to do it on your own. Build your own weapons if you can. Just like a computer. You can go pay somebody to build you a computer for $2,500. You can figure out how to do it yourself for half of that and have the same efficiency.
You used to.
Shop around and figure it out.
You used to. You can't anymore because damn crypto miners have done took that market over.
I have no idea what you're even talking about.
You can't build your own computer now for under $4,000. It's
Really?
absolutely insane. You can't not buy one from factory. It's bizarre. These crypto miners have eat up all the computer parts, and the only people you
That's
can
right,
buy.
because they're mining for all the.
Yeah.
Okay, that makes sense.
It
You have any
sucks.
idea what we're talking about on that one? Son?
I know exactly what you're talking about.
It sucks to buy computer parts right now. But like Dell, for example, they get it all at wholesale. They get it at factory price, retail price. They get all the parts, so you can't not afford to do it from there. But anyways, when I had mine built at Safe Side, that was during the beginning of the ammo shortage or during the crunch of it, and at least they said, and I don't know, that they said everything was good. I could run any type I wanted to it, but definitely you had to keep it clean. There was no secret about that.
Yeah.
And they actually went through how to clean it and everything and showed me and broke it down.
It's actually, you can get away with not cleaning it, and I know some guys that have done some fairly destructive testing with their ARs and said, you know what, I'm actually physically not going to clean my rifle for 10,000 rounds. They've put 10,000 rounds through it, but what they have done is kept it well lubed with the quality lube that ARs require. So, and the lube has been specifically designed for the AR platform. So, as far as that goes, it really is a case of keeping it wet.
Wasn't that the kind of the thing with the AK-47s? Because you could literally
part of the AK. You could run it through a mud and a river.
Yeah,
and it's
you
still
do
gonna fire.
anything to them
It's not
things.
super accurate.
That's the problem, though. You see, where you relinquish that reliability, where you gain the reliability, because they're all pressed steel, I believe. You lose in accuracy, but like you say, you can pick them out of a ditch, and it's been sat there for several weeks, and they still go bang, which is a beautiful thing.
Which is why they were probably so popular among Russians, because they didn't have quite the economy or money to put together.
And they make crappy ammo.
They do that.
They do have crappy ammo. And I did buy some of it. Most of my stuff was brass, but I did buy some when I was first learning to shoot the AR that was steel, because that's the only thing I could find. But most of what I got is brass.
Most importantly, I guess the general idea is to educate yourself and train yourself and practice proper gun safety. I mean, I know it's really not the issue that a lot of people claim it is. There are accidental discharges and things like that do happen. That's better to protect yourself and people around you. And I would venture to say 99.99% of gun owners out there know how to practice that. But if you're not, and you're somebody that's interested, or you're somebody that's not prolific in weaponry, find somebody that is and learn. Go to a range, go to a class, figure it out, and figure out that it's not, the perception isn't exactly what they say it is. It's a very safe means to protect you and yourself and your family that doesn't require an awful lot of attention, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
They're actually, you have to be careful because there is some crap. But there are a couple good follows on YouTube that teach us a lot of good safety. And there's a guy out in Tennessee, Hickok 45. He's my favorite. He's an older guy.
I've seen him. Yeah.
And he really is big on safety and how he does stuff. He's one of the ones I trust with that kind of information and what he's talking about. He reviews every freaking gun that you could possibly imagine. I mean, reviews it. As Bud's gun shop sends him everything. Mm-hmm. They have like an exchange program. He sends it, tests it out on a range and runs a couple thousand rounds through it, sends it back type deal. And That's the one I trust to go to and just learn a little bit about different types of guns.
Well,
There's no replacement for safety and being in a course and having an instructor. But once you get that down pat, there are some good YouTube finds that you have to be careful because you just get yourself into some stupid stuff. But there are some good ones.
I see some very dangerous things being done on YouTube, particularly with weapon manipulation.
Demolition Ranch is one of my favorite for that.
Dear Lord. But I mean,
they blow up a lot of stuff.
I want to correct.
You gotta be careful.
I want to correct.
But he's awesome.
On what Billy on one particular term he used, and that was an accidental discharge. I'm going to tell you something now. There is no such thing as an accidental discharge. It's a negligent discharge.
There you go.
Yeah,
okay.
it is.
Fair point. Fair point.
And if you can't do it safely, you don't have a margin for error.
Yeah.
So do it safely. I mean, consider your fall of shot. Consider what is behind the target. All these things come into effect. And safe weapon manipulation, if done correctly, is very satisfying.
Yeah, it's fun.
Oh, yeah.
What's interesting, you was talking about what's behind the weapon or what's behind the target. I was looking out here when we were looking at these guys shooting at the range, and I was thinking about in 100 years from now, just say this range stays here forever, that hillside is going to be full of lead.
They'll be doing some lead mining here one day.
Well, hey, in 200 years, people will be claiming the lead the same way that people claim arrowheads today,
Yeah.
They'll be going by the riverbanks and finding them. And
That whole hillside will just be a big old lead chunk.
Yeah. And and part of the issue with a lot of gun safety is a lack of muzzle control. And I used something several years ago. I was on a neighbour's property, and I was up there early enough, and I knew there was a good buck kicking around. And I set myself up, and very conveniently he showed up, and I thought, well, this is my chance. And he walked across, went into the gully, came up the other side of the creek. I had a beautiful, clean shot, and behind him was one of the farmer's cows.
Oh.
Now, I was using, I believe, a 30-06 at the time, and that would have punched straight through the deer, and I guarantee it would have taken out the cow as well, or whatever it was. So I didn't take the shot. Now
That deer lived another day, didn't it?
That deer lived another day, and that's just how it is. But there's a lot of people would have taken that shot, and you can't. That's the muzzle control and mindset that some hunters need to consider with a little bit more respect.
I agree. I mean, there's always room for improvement. That's one thing I implore. And while we're sitting here, I know we're going to take a break here momentarily. We're going to sit here and take a pause, and we're going to try and get some of these competitors, maybe Brad Kennett, to come down here and sit on the show and maybe talk about everything that's going on today. I want to reiterate the fact that, for one, we certainly appreciate Pigg River Precision for having us down here today and the entire event that's going on here. It's been an honor to be a part of it and to see, how they conduct themselves and how professional they are, and I'm glad to be able to be a part of it today. And I also want to say that, we in no way represent Pigg River Precision or anything going down there, and all of our opinions on here today are, in fact, our opinions and do not reflect the opinions of Pigg River Precision themselves. And hopefully when we get them on here, maybe they can talk about a few things that may either go hand in hand with what we say or may.
Do you mean to say that we're responsible for our own opinion here? This is a bit of a concept I'm struggling with right now.
Yes, we're not allowed to.
You would be amazed. You would be amazed at the fact that you can have people on here that you may or may not agree with and still have your own opinion to go along with it.
Absolutely.
I don't want to put words in their mouth. They've been gracious hosts today. We've had an absolute blast come up here and watching the competition. I just don't want to thank people. I don't want anybody that's out there that may listen to this and have any kind of preconceived notions that we do represent them. We don't. We're proud to be here and appreciative. And when they come on here, they may or may not disagree or agree with what we've said. But that's the beauty part about having these conversations.
They're holding a fantastic event, and yes, it does involve firearms. And I just think it's been a superb afternoon watching these guys work some magic, because at 1,000 meters,
and
that's impressive.
Yes, it's very impressive. What these men and women are doing up here today is impressive. It's very interesting, and we certainly appreciate all they've done for us. And I just want people to understand that we come up here and do a show like this and be able to appreciate all different kind of viewpoints. And before we get out here and do a break, I kind of wanted to segue into one thing, and I mentioned this to Simon ahead of time, and this is kind of going to take it in a different direction before we get some guests on here. But me, and most people know if you've been listening to the show for a while, and a lot of you do, that I am a pretty hardcore, strict libertarian. I don't subscribe to the left or right leaning mentality that's typically shoved down people's throats.
That's an understatement.
I'm just a critical thinker. Actually, as I've also mentioned on here many times before, most libertarians irritate the hell out of me as well. So I'm very particular about individual rights and things like that. So we've had shows on here before. We've had libertarian political candidates and organizers and things like that. And I've done that because I personally donate to the Libertarian Party Mises Caucus, $25 a month. I also give $25 a year to the state and federal, national Libertarian Party. Now, I only do the Libertarian Party national typically so I can get into the mix, so at least I have a voice. But I give $25 a month to the Mises Caucus because they embody a lot of the morals and the values that I have. And I know for the longest time, even me, the Libertarian Party has been a complete and utter joke. It should be completely about individual rights, and you should go from there. So I don't really talk about the Libertarian Party much.
Well, they've been
Compromised.
They've been compromised by the progressives.
Yeah, just like the Democrats have, and just like a lot of the Rhino Republicans have.
Rhino Republicans, they're all the same
almost
thing.
Maybe the establishment is what they are. And the Libertarian Party has been compiled of a lot of people who just basically, we call them Beltway libertarians. They just want to get up in D.C. They want to get invited to the events and have the dinners and get a slice of the pie. They really don't want to do anything. But the Mises Caucus guys are on a whole nother different level. They are essentially the Ron Paul revolution. And I wanted to take a few minutes here today to just talk about that, because here recently they have overtaken the entire party through elections and the proper channels in Reno for the convention. Now the Mises Caucus has complete control, and if you'll go follow the Libertarian Party on all your social medias, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, the new messaging is there. The individualism, the Second Amendment rights, all these kind of things. Basically, they are what we are. And I know, Simon, like you would more fall stereotypically into the conservative realm of things, but ideally, most of your values fall into the libertarian category, and the Mises Caucus guys honor those values, and we really have a voice now.
Yeah, I wouldn't disagree with anything you've said there. Whether I'd be conservative, what I would say about that is I am definitely not progressive.
You're not establishment Republican.
I'm not an establishment Republican. What I am a great admirer of the Constitution and the Bill of Rights. And you know, we cannot let this be infringed upon in any way, because it's sheer genius at work. I mean, the Constitution and Bill of Rights is the most amazing document in which the foundation of this great nation was built upon. And anyone that dishonours it basically can kiss my ass.
Absolutely. I mean, we've talked about this earlier. Aside from maybe the Bible, the Constitution is the most important document in the history of mankind.
I believe
it has
so.
turned the Constitution has turned more poor people into wealthy people than any other document in the history of man. More people have come out of poverty to become successful in this country than any other country on the planet. We are the beacon of freedom. And the Constitution is a very important living, breathing document that we should all respect and appreciate.
I couldn't agree with you more.
And that's why I'm such a stickler for the Mises guys. And I wanted to bring this up on this episode because, gun rights are such a valuable discussion that we need to have. And actually, it shouldn't even be discussion. It should be absolute. Honestly,
it's a God-given right. It's how I see it. We have the right to defend ourselves.
Talk about it. I want the people that don't understand that concept to be able to at least engage in conversation. And the Mises Caucus guys who now control the Twitter and the Instagram and the Facebook, the messaging is the most important thing. We have the ability in this country today to reach people 3,000 miles away in milliseconds. Use that to your advantage. Yeah. And the Libertarian Party, as a card-carrying member, has completely disappointed me over the past 4 or 5 years. Actually, going back longer than that. But I've become active here lately. And the Mises guys, they're on point. So give the Libertarian Party a follow on all platforms and spread their message. Their message is 2A absolutism and individual rights and things that we can all use to better ourselves. Do I have any aspirations that they'll win any major political offices? No. But if you get the message out there, hey, it took the progressive 50 years to get to this point in time with their message. You got to start somewhere, and they're doing a fantastic job. You've been keeping up with any of that, Bodine?
Nope.
I know a lot of people.
You know better than that.
I haven't had a lot of time to keep up with it. I try and keep up with it as best as I can, but that's where I stand, and I think we are in a very generous crossroads right now where the messaging can get out there and we can really make a difference.
We're in a horrible spot right now.
I turned away from politics. It was too bad on my health. It really was.
And I agree. It is 100%. It should turn everybody away because it's so vile and disgusting. That's why I love these Mises guys. They have pulled together some of the most prominent musicians, artists. March Touré, Black Guns Matter, Inner City Philadelphia. His whole thing, getting guns in the hands of inner city folks to be able to protect themselves. 100%. They have all these people that have come together and collectively stood up and said, we're tired of the narrative, we're tired of the nonsense, and we want to put somebody in the position that is going to at least have the opportunity to get the message out there, and that's what these boys are doing. So I implore everybody out there, follow these guys. We have to figure out a way to make it through these next few years. It's going to get rough.
It's going to fall apart around our ears, I'm afraid. And I think what we've got to do is get through the other side and rebuild and make it better. And that is not.
You mean build back better?
And that is not taking a note off of Biden's footnotes. I can tell you that for nothing. We're going to see some significant crisis over the next 12 months, if not sooner.
Instead of build back better, it should have been break down quicker.
I think he's. I think that. Who knows what he meant by build back better?
I said it with Trump too, because I swear he's got some mental issues. But I swear to God, Biden is off the chains. It has got to be some sort of severe, debilitating mental disease.
The man cannot complete a sentence. I mean, I don't care what out of the parties that you vote on, if you can at least acknowledge the fact that he is not capable or competent.
He's not
to run an entire country. Then something is wrong with your process and ability, your process of thinking. I mean, can we at least not acknowledge the fact that he's not quite all there?
He's not even remotely there.
I don't know what's happened. I mean, he used to not be like that. He has always kind of been funny. He was perfect for memes.
When you get to be in your
he
70s.
Was like the king. He was the king of memes. He was king of memes in the Obama administration.
What did he actually achieve in his 50 years of political career? I can't really think of one thing. He's a bit like, was it Ted Kennedy? No, not Ted Kennedy. Was it Ted Kennedy?
Yes.
40 years and it did sweet Fanny Adams.
He did kill a woman, I think, though.
Oh, yeah, that was the one.
I think he ran a car into a lake and just didn't call anybody.
But you know,
Ted?
It's the DC system that is broken. And whether you can blame it on the progressives, the rhinos, the left, the right, who the hell ever.
Government.
The federal government's overstepped its bounds by a long way over many decades. And this is what we get for it.
Yeah, we're definitely in a predicament right now. But I don't want people to lose faith. Don't lose faith.
When I would watch Trump talk, I'd be like, "What the hell is he going? What is he talking about?"
Yeah, but you have
now I look back and I'm like, "Dear God,
how did we get worse?
How did we get worse? How did we get worse?"
He did come out. I've got to give Trump some. He came out with that word "bigly."
Bigly, what is bigly?
And it was a bit like that Saturday Night Live sketch with George W. Bush being played by Will Ferrell. Strategery. I mean, it was just genius.
They called him Bushism. I can't say the word. Bushisms.
Spit it out, Bodie.
Yeah,
I'm sounding like Biden there.
This clown at the moment, it's an embarrassment.
I mean, that's being generous.
Bigly. He's bigly lost his mind.
I mean, at the very least, you should at least project strength. You should at least project competence.
He
can, like, if you're the president of the biggest superpower on the planet, you shouldn't look like that a tic-tac-toe puzzle will confuse you. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
At least have that.
Who does he remind me of the most in the movie Hot Shots? The damn Admiral. That is exactly who he reminds me of. That is Joe Biden. And I remember in the one speech, he's sitting there looking around and he says, he's speaking to the guys. They're getting ready to go out on a mission. And he says, I've flown 300 and some missions in my life. He said, crashed every one of them. In fact, he said, as a matter of fact, I've never landed an airplane in my life.
or that scene when he's sitting there, he's looking at a still picture, and he's like, look at this. I can't believe the military. These guys, they just stand around and do nothing all day. And he screams at the picture and says, do something. You know, I mean, he thinks he's looking out of the window, but he's looking at a still picture.
Or when he's in an aircraft carrier. Lloyd Bridges, when he's on an aircraft carrier and his hat blows off, and and he says, put so-and-so, or he said, we got to turn around and go get it. He said, sir, we can't turn the ship around to get your hat. He said, well, put so-and-so out in a life raft. And then he says, well, we can't do that. He said, well, put some food in it. Am I the only one that can think around here? That's Biden. I swear, Lloyd Bridges and Hot Shots is Biden. It's hilarious.
We're living in a clown world.
Biden's incompetence is incompetent. It's amazing.
Well, it just kind of leads you to question who really is making the decisions, because all he can barely do is read off a teleprompter. So.
And he does that.
He doesn't. He can't do. He reads that from the wrong damn side.
It's
okay. So off of all that, we're going to go ahead and take a break here real quick. We're going to wait for some of the competitors and maybe Bradley and Joshua to come down here, maybe talk a little bit more about what's going on here today. Once again, Pigg River Precision, all the competitors down here do not share our political values or beliefs. Maybe they do, maybe they don't. We don't speak for them. We are super grateful they are here with us today. Also,
it's a world-class event is what they're running.
It is. It's a world-class event.
We're going to get into the economics of the event we talked about earlier as well in the next segment. But I just want to get off this first segment by saying we appreciate all their hospitality, and go follow the Libertarian Party on all of your social media platforms and check out the Libertarian Party Mises Caucus, who also now have control of the platform and are going to be messaging the proper and right things. We're going to be right back. And in this break, we're going to play some music from the Jared Stout Band. We got them coming on a show on Monday. They got a big show coming up here with Joe Nichols at Motor Mouth Speedway in a couple of weeks. So this song right here from the Jared Stout Band, and we'll come back with some more from the gun range.
Trying to get myself up out this cage. I've been far too gone for mammon sake. Daddy told me that I done lost my way. But sleep at night, you know I toss and turn. This life I've been living just to learn. There's no dollar sign that you didn't earn. One leads to another, brother, you'll get burned. left his son that smooth talking love's got a loaded gun. She'll fire from the hip, but you'll never see that name on the bullet marked R.I.P. Turn up and run, you're back to the wind. Find a couple dollars cash in the will to spend. These final days won't give you rest. Have a comfort, got a moment, get it off your chest. Watch out for that same old song and dance. Oh, you're out on your own now, but son, did you think you'd have a chance? There's no dollar sign on the peace of mind that you hold in your hands. Watch out for that same old song and dance. I'm counting lines, drifting through those pines. Don't leave no trace with the line so fine. You better pick up pace, you're gonna run this race before the sun goes down and you lost your way. Stand up straight and lay the hammer down. Put the pedal to the metal, gotta leave this town. No turning back if you know what's good. Better get out of town cause you know you should. Watch out for that same old song and dance. Oh, you're out on your own now, but son, did you think you'd have a chance? There's no dollar sign on the peace of mind that you hold in your hands. Watch out for that same old song and dance. Go run, run. You better run, 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 run. Can't take another bullet, gotta hide back from the gun, yeah. You better run, 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 run. Can't take it if you pull it that square, leads back to one. You better run, 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 run. Can't take another bullet, gotta hide back from the gun. You better run, 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 run. Can't take it if you pull it that square, leads back to one. Oh, watch out for that same old song and dance. Oh, you're out on your own now, but son, did you think you'd have a chance? There's no dollar sign on the peace of mind that you hold in your hands. Watch out for that same old song and dance. No dollar sign on the peace of mind that you hold in your hands. Watch out for that same old song and
With an A and it had a Y in it.
All right, we are back. That was a Jared Stout band. That song was Song and Dance. You can check them out here June 16th. They're going to be at the Motor Mile Speedway opening for Joe Nichols. So we do have a little bit of background noise here. Hopefully we can all hear each other. We're being joined now by Bradley Kennett, who is a sponsor of the show. You know him from Lawn Works. We've talked about him here before. Fantastic job on my yard. I recommend anybody that needs some improvements and upgrades on our yard, contact Brad, and he's going to be the one to hook them up. The facility
you worked
here,
on Billy's yard?
The facility here that he has produced.
I'm glad somebody did because it needed it.
You know what your mama needs, Bodine, but I ain't going to talk about that right now.
Billy was a little lazy like me.
Is this his mic on?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, he's hot.
I can't hear anybody.
You can't hear anybody.
No.
I haven't said a word yet.
There we go, maybe. How about it now?
How about now?
There we go.
How
All right.
better?
You got a short in the mic.
Yeah, I got it short. It's okay.
Ain't great.
There we go. Perfect. Can everybody hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. I could hear you before.
I can hear you too.
Okay, perfect. Okay, good. So we can all hear each other now. We got Jerry Wimmer playing in the background.
Keep on the mic.
So Brad, you invited us up here today. What a hell of an event it was. So kind of give anybody out here, we talked about it a little bit ahead of time, or opinions on what's going on up here today, but we don't really have the inside. So kind of explain what's been going on up here.
So what we've got is a long-range rifle range here. We've got targets ranging from 3 to 1,200 yards. Folks come in from all over the country here once a year. We have a 2-day event, and what they end up doing is they compete in PRS, the Precision Rifle Series. So what this consists of is a bolt action or a gas gun rifle, and they ended up, you shoot a positional style shooting match at distance that varies in different difficulties depending on the stage. You'll have larger targets, farther away, closer targets, be a lot smaller of a size-wise. So as the match director deems necessary, he changes the target size and changes the difficulty of the match to make sure that it's challenging for everybody.
I mean, and there's one heck of an event up here today. And Simon and I were talking about it a little bit earlier, but just the economic impact that something like this brings to the area. I mean,
Oh, absolutely. Huge.
how many states do you reckon are represented here today?
At least half.
You think? We were thinking a
That's
quarter.
staggering.
I think half.
Wow.
That wouldn't surprise me. It's a very prestigious event.
Just the amount of manufacturers here, because Loophole is made in USA in Oregon. So they've got over 700 employees in Oregon. And those guys right here from, last year we had the actual guy from Oregon. Today we've got Jeremy, who lives in Ridgeway. He's local. He's a Loophole vendor. And then his buddy is Brad from Tennessee, and that's his territory. So those two guys are here. Several from Georgia, several from Florida, Ohio, all over the East Coast.
And they all come here. They're using our hotels here in probably Martinsville. They're using our restaurants,
we filled up
our
Ippy's last
facilities.
night.
Yeah, Ippy's. I mean, everybody sees an increase in sales for a weekend like this.
Absolutely. Gas stations, grocery store, you
Restaurants, you name it.
I bet Ippy's was the safest place in town to be last night.
Could have been.
I saw a lot of guys with the big sponsor shirts on. Are these guys professional shooters?
Yes. This is a professional match here today. So this is your higher-end shooters from all over competing. And you've also got guys that just want to come out and shoot. If they got a spot, they got a spot. So today's match qualifies you a spot at the national finale. And I'm not sure where that's being held at this year yet.
If you win today, correct? Or just if you just compete?
It's accumulation of today and tomorrow.
Okay.
It's a 2-day match.
But if you end up being the winner of today and tomorrow, your team gets that spot in the Nationals.
It's
correct?
not really a team, it's you're a solo shooter.
Oh, I thought it was team.
I thought they were teams going
just
from station
groups.
to
No,
station.
they're all similarly sponsored.
Okay, so there's just a lot of different sponsors, but
Yeah.
this is an overall individual competition.
Yeah, individual match, not a team match.
Righto. I mean, that makes it even more prestigious when you consider that. That's an amazing thing for Franklin County.
Absolutely.
Amazing.
A little hidden gem for the county here.
Yeah, you could be driving down 220 and never even know that this place existed. And then when you come here, it's a wonderful facility. Got a great open-air pavilion right here.
Oh, yeah.
You've got other facilities. Then the range, of course, very professionally attended to. Very, very professional. Very cool, too, with all the different obstacles and everything. It looks like it makes it very challenging here. Kind of talk about some of the different obstacles these guys have to fire from.
We've got tires, floater tires. They're 4 or 5 foot around. We've got different metal obstacles, Connex box with different shapes and stuff to shoot out of inside, from prone position laying down to kneeling to modified prone, standing, crouching. Even make you shoot, left-handed sometimes if you're right-handed, make you swap hands. They'll put you in unique situations to make you shoot support side and makes you a better shooter and get you more well-rounded.
Yeah, I mean, over 1,200 yards to go through multiple positions that aren't prone, particularly kneeling. Kneeling has always been a tough one for me.
That's right.
But I'm seeing themselves, all kinds of contorted just to get that one shot, and it's very challenging. I love watching it. That was great.
Plus the wind.
Yeah,
the wind is a
was
big deal.
Well, the wind was coming pretty much straight down the pipe at everyone, but with the way the valley was working, I could see that was really going to mess with certain trajectories.
The wind changes and that hillside out there changes.
Yeah.
Definitely does. Big factor.
So who is actually who runs this event, or who's the organizer?
So Pigg Precision is comprised of solely Josh Bandy. He's local to the area. His family's owned this farm for years and years and years. So it went from being a beef farm active to now being just crops, hay, and shooting farm or lead farming now.
Yeah, I was just saying
We
lead
mentioned
farming.
that earlier. That's a good one.
That whole hillside's just going to be a chunk of lead one day.
I will reclaim it one day.
That's what I was telling them. I said people are going to be thumbing through these fields in 200 years like they do arrowheads now, just looking for little.
Well, they're going to be
rounds
digging deep.
If you go to the 1,000-yard target, there's tons of intact bullets out there. They hit the target, and just fall to the ground.
Really?
And they're intact. Maybe the nose of it's a little blunt than it was,
Because they're losing the velocity once they get out to it, it barely hits
depending
them.
on the cartridge.
The energy's gone. What was your opinion of how the wind was affecting trajectory today? Was it pressing the round down?
Today's wind wasn't a full value wind, so you would think of wind actually coming from either like 3 o'clock or 9 o'clock. Today's wind was coming from more like a 7:30-ish kind of. It was. If you're thinking of north being in front of you, going northeast, so you get an increase in elevation with a rearward tailwind like that. Also, in the crosswind affects your windage hole too.
Yeah, that's pretty, and it seemed pretty variable.
Very
so
variable.
that was very challenging. The guys that were hitting steel were doing real well.
You'll see a lot of guys that'll take and they'll have 2 numbers wrote down. They'll have like a maximum that they measured with their kestrels, and then they'll have like an average of what it has been doing for a little while. So they go back and forth between those 2 numbers.
And you said it was this one thing you said in the beginning. I didn't see any gas powered. All I seen was bolt action.
There's a lot of gas guns.
I just didn't really pay any attention.
Yeah,
to them.
they're mixed in. They're not as popular.
I'd say so. We was
They have
talking
their own
about that.
separate class too.
Oh, okay. We was talking about that earlier. How much more accurate we felt like the bolt action would be.
It is. We've got gas gun class. We've got tactical, which is 223 and 308. More of your traditional military type, calibers, 5.56, stuff like that. And then you have open, and open is anything 300 Win Mag and down. So you've got to have a muzzle velocity of less than 3,100 feet per second, and you can shoot anything under 300 Win Mag.
So how many people here this weekend will go on to the Nationals? I mean, is there different divisions where?
Absolutely. A lot of these folks travel this. They just tour the country doing this. They hustle Monday through Thursday, Friday, travel, big money. Big money.
So there's multiple classes, and a lot of these guys will go into the national competition.
Oh, yeah.
So some of the best shooters in the country
they're
have
here.
made their way down to Franklin County today for this competition.
Absolutely. They're here.
That's pretty cool.
That's some talent.
My grandpa used to be in sharpshooter and sniper competitions. I'm not exactly sure how they used to be back in the day when he was doing it, but I've come across a handful of sharpshooters over the years that, like, oh, you're Don Riddle's grandson. He used to be one hell of a shot. I'm not sure, what the differences is, but based off what we've seen here today, I mean, this is an immaculate production of a competition, no matter what the competition may have been.
I'd hesitate to say that every shooter on that line is under US military classification would be considered expert.
Definitely. There's a lot of guys that come here from the military seeking better training than the actual military provides.
Well, we were talking about that earlier. You know, as somebody, I had spoke to Simon about that. I said, as somebody who has been in the military and experienced the ranges and the cadre there, today is light years above and beyond.
The equipment's
more
light years.
professional.
Oh, yeah.
The equipment, the safety standards, just the what's the word I'm looking for? Just the precision and dedication that they put into this whole event as a whole is just leaps and bounds above anything that the government can provide.
And you know, the thing of it is one accident on the range could mess up everything.
Oh,
And
for sure.
it would.
The safety here is, that's number one.
Oh, and we mentioned that quite a bit.
I saw the flagging of the end of every
rifle has a chamber flag that shows that the chamber is clear. Not just the safety, but these are actually clean and clear chambers. All your movements are made with the bolt to the rear.
I didn't notice that too, which is unusual. I mean, I'm sure it is for international competition.
Right.
But when it comes to ranges,
well, the range officers, there's 2 range officers per stage. So the primary range officer that starts with the timer, his entire job is to make sure that you start and finish the stage with the muzzle downward if you have a loaded rifle. If the rifle's hot, the muzzle has to stay downrange.
yep. Rightly so.
And then he finishes his job with every shooter by replacing the chamber flag and making sure that it's clear and sends him on his way.
100% safety. I love it.
Yep, muzzle awareness is the biggest point.
And
What did I say?
And I read the rules before I came of just range safety down here, and I was thinking it was like what was concealed weapons or open carry not even allowed on the range area? It was something like that, and I don't even remember.
Big reason for that.
Okay.
These guys are crawling around on the ground, on obstacles, sometimes maybe falling, getting hurt, stuff like that. So we don't want somebody having a sidearm on their hip and hitting the trigger or having an accidental discharge and shooting somebody rearward. So that's why there's no sidearms allowed.
Makes perfect sense.
Yes.
Go ahead.
In a more controlled environment, I'm sure that you need to practice with it on your hip.
Oh yeah.
But today's not the day. This is competition.
Oh yeah.
Not training.
Still the safest place in Franklin County to be right now.
That's right.
I mean, this is a national competition in Franklin County. I rest my case.
Yeah.
And it's, I kind of want to, I know he's not here to be able to represent, but I know Brad is a good ambassador for him. But, Joshua Bandy, first off, my wife actually, her mother's surname is Bandy, so there might be some relation
Could be.
there. That's a very common Southwest Virginia name. In fact, the little community of Bandy down in Southwest Virginia was a prominent coal town for many, many years. So I know a lot of people moved out of there and made their own. So I'm sure you could probably trace it back, but him not being able to speak, though.
Well, the family lineage on the farm here is the mink farm. Bostic Mink is the one that started this farm.
Really?
Yes, years and years and years ago. Cleared the land, got it ready. There's cattle waters out here 40 years old. He was light years ahead of his time.
So what exactly motivated him to turn this into a competitive shooting range? And this is not the only weekend that things happen down here, correct?
We have a match about once a month that's on a regional scale. It's only one day. It'll be 90 to 100 shooters. This is 170 shooters for 2 days. So what you'll have is like I said, a regional event every now and then. And then we have a 22 match too. We also have rimfire, and that's held right down here in the lower, down the lower range. And
Just behind us.
yeah, and it's all under shelter too, so it can be bad weather and you can still have it go on.
That's pretty cool.
Oh, and these matches run rain, shine, sleet, snow.
Make it happen.
I've only seen them cancel for snow because the roads were bad. They would still shoot if the roads were clear.
So what exactly motivated him to turn this place into a range? Do you know?
He works a full-time job, doesn't have time to be a full-time farmer. So the cropland is rented out to Nick Mitchell with Mitchell Meats. They are harvesting all their own beef and selling it here locally in the county. Big shout out to them. Nick and his family is in here farming it. They've got some beef cows on the north pasture on 220, and then the rest of it's going to be in beans and hay. So he's got all that leased out to that, and then what we do is come in here and we run the matches, and it helps out take care of the expenses on the farm.
That's pretty cool.
I think it's genius.
I believe they call it diversity, but I hate that word now.
A whole lot better turn it into a golf course.
Damn right.
Absolutely, and the property up here is beautiful. I mean, there's great views, and check out our Facebook and Instagram for some of the photos we've posted of just how much of a beautiful range it is.
And with Fort Mountain, Chestnut Mountain joining together back here.
Absolutely,
For a great
Stunning.
backdrop.
it's magnificent.
Is this where do y'all have turkey shoots down here?
No, it's across the road.
Okay, I knew it was down this area.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's on the other side of 220.
Okay. I thought it was the same place, but okay.
Yes, sir.
So, have they faced a lot of issues down here with trying to force these competitions? I mean, is it typically something that's well regarded and open by the overall community down here? Have you had any issues, or is it something that's pretty
We made
well
friends
accepted?
with all the neighbors.
Does it really?
Yeah. Make sure you're friends with all the neighbors.
Every one of them.
Every one of them. And we encourage them to come down and enjoy the festivities and see how things are run, and that way they feel safe too.
Makes sense.
A lot of the targets have backstops on them to catch all the bullets.
I think about every one that I saw did.
They're either hitting the target or hitting the berm behind them.
Yeah.
Well, I know when it comes to neighbors, you have to be very, very peculiar and precautious. The last time we had Simon on the episode, we had one of his neighbors lashing out on our Facebook page about how she doesn't want to have to sit here and listen to him because she's one of his neighbors. And
It sucks to be you.
well, it was amazing. She came on and said she started listening due to our 5 Points episode, which brought out our first lunatic who commented on the page. And then, of course, she referenced herself as somebody who followed us due to that show but would now unfollow us because we had Simon Winch on.
I believe I was called a white Englishman, which
Yes.
was slightly
I'd like
bigoted
to
in
know
my
how many
opinion.
Simons run off versus
Dale
how many
Earnhardt
Simons
used,
gained.
Dale Earnhardt used to say, any attention's good attention.
Yeah, what do they say about bad press?
There is none.
Good press.
Yeah, there's no such thing. And that just goes back to our thing about the neighbors and the community that we're servicing here. And, trying to make peace with them. You can't always please everybody, but at least have a little bit of understanding of what you're doing. And what's going on down here is fantastic.
Courtesy goes a long way.
It goes a super long way.
So I see this guy right here. He's got a suppressed rifle.
Yes, sir.
How much does this suppressor really take off the range of the rifle, or is it in its own class?
It does not affect the range of the rifle at all.
Really?
No.
Okay.
It can actually help the accuracy of the rifle, and it also helps reduce recoil. It does not reduce recoil as much as a muzzle brake does, but it does help with recoil.
Because the way it distributes the gases evenly, and
Yes.
yeah.
It'll take a lot of recoil out of the rifle.
I'd always heard that suppressors reduce range, but I didn't know that that's a myth.
They can actually increase muzzle velocity because you're lengthening the amount of time the bullet is in the controlled environment.
Under
Yeah.
pressure.
Under pressure.
Makes sense.
Yep.
So would you know if you could, if I just ask you,
ZZ Top.
who is the most impressive shooter here today? Is there anybody that anybody might recognize from pop culture or anything like that?
No, nobody super, nothing like that. We've got a lot of, in the industry, you've got a lot of guys here that make and build and sell their own product here representing it themselves. Team MPA that just pulled out right there, they're local to Georgia. They built all the rifle chassis, stuff like that. MDT is in Canada. They, worldwide company as well, they make chassis, stuff like that. DNA Firearms right here behind us, they're in Charlotte, North Carolina. You'll see a lot of those guys on the coyote hunting pages. He's big into coyote hunting rifles,
Bless
and
him.
he's bleeding over into the precision world.
There's no such thing as a good coyote.
That's right.
Dang. Poor coyote.
That's right.
They are an invasive species. And what a lot of people don't know about coyotes is if you shoot a coyote and you eliminate him, that almost sends out some kind of pheromones or something that makes the other coyotes want to immediately start breeding to replace.
If it's the alpha female, yes.
Yeah, so you kill one and they go and breed another 12 right behind you.
I don't think we should get on the topic of female coyotes right now.
Wow. How random is that?
Off the wall.
Well, I mean, that's what this show is all about, is about being off the wall and some of the crazy things we say. And, I mean, there's just some phenomenal shooters up here today. People, I mean, as somebody who's in the military, and I was a crew serve weapons specialist when I was overseas. I manned the 249 SAW, which is a squad automatic weapon, a machine gun for the layman, the 50 cal, which 50 cal sniper rifles are legal here in this country. You can get a 50 cal sniper rifle, but we have the automatic version, and I'm going to tell you that son of a gun will bark thunder. Also, the Mark 19 automatic grenade launcher, which is essentially a grenade gun that shoots grenade rounds.
It's a grenade jammer.
All of these weapons, and I look at these guys up here today, and they're just so precise. I mean, so much better than anything I could have ever been. And
under stress and pressure.
Exactly. And Brad, you mentioned this earlier before we got here about every walk of life is here. You've got LEO, you've got military, former military, special forces, all the way up to people who just learn how to shoot on YouTube.
And kids.
Kids, yes.
Tons
Women,
of kids.
men, black, white. I've seen them all up here today.
Yep.
It's really a phenomenal, dare I say it, diversified.
Very diverse crowd.
There's that word again.
A very, very unique, diversified field of competitors.
I thought you was going to say serendipitous.
I have not said that word here in a while.
Might as well throw that shit out there.
$20 word.
But yeah, I mean, they're professional. They're in shape. They are, I mean, just, it's pretty wild to see the competition up here and just how disciplined they are. And that's what it takes. It takes a lot of discipline and a lot of, time and practice to be able to become an expert in a craft like this. But it's definitely one worth taking the time.
They definitely put the time in, and it's more time at home than it is any at the range. Getting ready, building rifles, gunsmith work, optics mounting, reloading, you name it.
Finding a place to shoot to be able to practice.
You really only need to shoot 100 yards to really figure out your load development, and then you need to go to 600 and check it. And if it holds together at 600, you can most time make it all the way out the rest of the ranges.
Oh, okay.
So how did you ever get involved in this whole deal down here?
Long story.
We got time. And we've got Simon.
Years and years and years ago, on the other side of the road behind us on McNeil Mill, I hunted with the Jones family. The Jones family and the Mink family, which is Josh's grandpa, always got along. We always got to hunt back and forth on each other's lands. Met Josh before he got into the military. Josh, huge impact on my life when I was younger. Went away to the military for a little while, but ended up coming right back, and here he is now.
And so just off that impact that he, put on you as you were younger, you decided to come back here and volunteer and start helping out and doing all this kind of stuff.
That's right. It's a good venue. It's something to be a part of.
Well, it's something to be proud of.
It is.
Oh, absolutely. This is really something else.
And Simon, coming from somebody who's very proficient in firearms and somebody who really understands the significance of them and the appreciation for them. Simon's one of the most heavily involved 2A activists I know out there as far as it comes to this. And, to be impressed with the way you are today, I mean, it really speaks volumes for the professionalism that they've put on here today.
It means a lot to have this quality and caliber of people all together. And something of this nature is unheard of in other sports. I don't feel like there's any other sports out there that have this kind of folks involved in it.
I agree.
Yeah, I think the camaraderie stands out a mile. The way that people are, still hanging around.
They've been here 9 hours today in the sun, and they're still here.
And still looking for, a slice of pizza and listen to Jerry Wimmer, bless him.
That's right. And tonight's pizza and beer was provided by one of our sponsors.
Go on.
I think Trigger Tech bought the beer, and Armageddon Gear out of Georgia bought the pizza.
I know the Trigger folks gave me a free T-shirt, and I'm running with it.
Right on.
I didn't get a free T-shirt.
It ought to be a handful of them laying around here.
Well, let's talk about Trigger Tech since they're here now and they're a sponsor. What exactly do they provide? What kind of product are they?
They've got them all on the table out
They
there.
do. I misspoke on that. Not Trigger Tech. Timney triggers.
Timney
triggers is what's
Timney
there.
triggers.
I'm sitting here staring at the Trigger Tech sign.
They've got all the models there that you can dry fire, and there's various pull. I think one of the lightest was a 1 pounder, and that was delightful. I went over and tried every one.
And they're safe. Even though they have low pull weight, they're safe.
Yeah.
They won't, they won't release unless they're.
I think it was a 7 pound pull with a 1 pound hole.
Yep.
Something like that, and that was delightful. So these guys know how to make triggers, that's for sure.
That's right. Very innovative.
Yeah.
Did you say there was free beer?
Yeah.
I did, Billy. I was like, I figured he'd be over by now.
Oh, this somewhere around here.
I knew nothing about that.
Looks like that refrigerator's got some in it.
We'll have to make our way to one of these free beer tents
Oh,
here
dear.
before it's said and done.
That's the end of that show.
The evening's about to take a slide for the worst.
These are my kind of sponsors.
I agree.
Well, who else is here? Whatever sponsors we have, we can talk about that are here today. I see Leopold here. For anybody that doesn't know what they are, what is Leopold?
Leupold is a
Leupold,
optics
I'm sorry.
manufacturer.
Leupold, you
Leupold.
peasant.
Leupold. Yeah. Gotta get it right. I called it Leupold my whole life.
I'm a heathen.
Savage.
We've got those as the title sponsor. They came in last year in a big way. They put a high dollar pair of polarized sunglasses on every shooter's face last year. T-shirts, you name it. They became our title sponsor for the range. They are sponsored. We're the Pigg River Precision Leupold range. I'm guessing now, but they wanted to do this every year from now on. And I guess they're marked on the East Coast since they're in Oregon.
And that is an international company of unbelievable prestigious credentials. I mean, their optics and glass is some of the finest you can get in the world.
In the last 2 to 3 years, they've really gotten into precision rifles, and they've came out with some really good stuff to support it, and that's why they're getting big into it now. They've got they've got the equipment.
So what exactly is it they're providing, like safety equipment, glasses, things of that nature?
No, when I say glass, I'm talking about optics. Glass.
Oh, gotcha. So
Scopes, binoculars, rangefinders, spotters,
All right,
things like that. Foundation Stock is a really cool one. They're a local company. They're to Oklahoma, and they make stocks out of micarta. It's glue and wood fibers extremely compressed under tons and tons of pressure, and then it can be routed out and made into gun stocks.
So that's basically a resin wood composite.
Yep. It's a composite. It's not affected by moisture, temperature.
Yep. No warping.
No warping and nothing. And they look like wood. They look like real wood.
I see Federal, the ammunition guys, have got some signage up here as well.
They play a huge part with their gold medal match, which is match grade quality ammo. They also have match grade everything else. Pistols, shotguns, primers. Primers is a big thing. A lot of these guys reload.
that makes sense.
Yeah, we said that with the rifles being so custom, there'll be guys that will insist on.
You'd be surprised how good match grade ammo shoots in a rifle too.
But
it's got a lot to do with the barrel.
I've put match grade down one of my longer barrel ARs, and it's a significant difference.
That's right.
You know, it's consistent, and that's what you're looking for.
It's all in what you feed it.
That's exactly it.
So are there any more sponsors here that we'd like to mention? We've touched on the three bigger ones.
Obviously, Ruger's up there on the signage. Great American manufacturer. That's the only
I'd love to have
pistol and rifle.
a full list of it as we go through some of them.
That's the only weapon that my father-in-law will buy now because it's truly American made.
Right on.
So
Really?
yeah, Ruger's one of the few.
They have a
with
plant
Henry.
down here in Statesville.
Yep.
Around 220.
Ruger is one of the big weapons that the Germans used. That back during World War II, an American soldier came across a Ruger.
That's a Luger.
Luger. Okay, I'm sorry.
And you're having all sorts of trouble today.
Hey, look, like I said in the first segment, I'm not a gun enthusiast. I'm a gun owner, and I figure as long as it shoots, that's all I need. That's all I want. I don't really get into specifics, but for people like me, Luger and Ruger, what are we talking about? Like,
The
of course
Luger is
different.
a German-made semi-automatic pistol
Pistol.
from World War II. I believe it may have gone back to World War I, or at least some of the design.
It is a very sought-out weapon.
He's got a
Oh,
gun.
very much so. It's an
I gotta get
offensive
ready for
weapon.
tomorrow.
Oh, you gotta get ready for tomorrow?
Yep. We gotta go for it and get things moving.
All right.
All right, well,
Appreciate
cut
your
out.
time, man.
Yes, sir.
Brad, Kennett, Lawnworks. You can find them on Facebook. I'm a client, so
Thank God.
I can shut the hell up, Bodine.
Give me a call. We'll make it look good.
So, and is that the only treatment you have to do to my yard? The one time you came by?
No, it's a 5-step program right now I've got in place. Each step has its own value, its own need, and throughout the year we take care of different issues. And we address different issues, temperature, weather, all that changes throughout the year. So we'll address that as it comes.
Well, I'm still waiting on this second issue to get addressed, whatever that is, but the first one was addressed. My wife noticed the difference. The yard looks so much better. Dandelions all gone, none of that
There you go.
nonsense. It's already a work in progress. So
Now I know who to call if I don't get this grass I just seeded the other day to come up good. I'm just going to pay somebody to
I didn't get my grass.
You should have got Bradley to seed it.
We'll do it in
Just
the
saying.
fall if you don't have any luck now.
Oh, yeah.
Bradley, I appreciate the invitation. Thank you.
Thanks for having me on,
Thank you
guys.
for having us on here.
Appreciate it.
We're going to go ahead and take a break right now. We may come back with another segment. We might not. If we don't come back with another segment, we just want to say how much we appreciate Pigg River
We'll see if we can't go
Precision,
get Josh down here.
Brad Kennett, Simon, everybody else. We're going to try and get Josh down here, but we'll take a real quick break, play a little bit of music, and come back with our final segment, if we can.
Up on a mountain where the cold wind blows, we can talk about your drink and what you think. Here, anything goes on a mountain. Oh. We were sitting by the campfire when she came around, singing kumbaya to a brand new crowd. She been drinking all day, so she stumbles in. Now she's surrounded by new light and a brand new set of friends up on the mountain, baby. Leave your pride at the door. Drop your cooler on the floor. Here we'll pop a top on the soda pop. Drink one beer, drink till we drop. Up here anything goes on the mountain. Drink that moonshine straight from a jar. Put it in a shot glass and drink it fast. Stare up at your stars, play the guitar, sing a song or two. How about this old Hank song? We'll sing along, the world will sing with you. Up on the mountain, babe, where the cold wind blows. Talk about your drink and what you think. Here, anything goes up on the mountain, babe. Oh. Up on the mountain,
Alrighty, we're back here with our last segment. I don't know who we're going to use for music for that intermission. We'll go ahead and say we're going to use some Corey Hundley, Up on the Mountain. That's actually the song we use anytime we have a show up at the wood shop. So Corey Hundley music, check him out. Hopefully to get him back on the show here in the near future. That being said, this is our final segment. We wanted to come back here and just talk just a little bit more before we left with somebody that's kind of involved in this event. And here we have one of the big sponsors of the event, Timmy Trigger. Rick, I want you to go ahead and introduce yourself and kind of talk about the role you play here today, the companies you're representing, and also the exterior companies you were speaking about.
Okay, yeah, my name is Rick Scrivens. I'm with GCP Rifle Company. And so a buddy of mine, Corey, and I, we travel all over the country for Timney Triggers, doing events for them as sales reps for them, and we try to help do a lot of product testing for them. We come to a lot of the matches for them. What we do at GCP is we build custom precision rifles. We're out of Southwest Florida. And this Pigg River match is one of the best matches in the country to get to. So this is our first chance coming up here. So we set it all up with Timney to set up a booth here and sponsor the match for these guys.
Yeah, I just did a quality test on the triggers you had up there on the table, and I can't fault one of them. I mean, they are slick, lightweight, smooth. You got a great product there. Timney Triggers, really good.
Thanks, man. We've been around since 1946. They started it up right after World War II, and they started doing a lot of triggers when guys were bringing home, Mausers and Arasakas and stuff, and it's kind of grown from there. Like for me, for my shop, we do a lot of custom rifle builds, a lot of gunsmithing work, and Timney offers a line it's almost endless. I can't even imagine. I think they got about 700 SKUs just for the different products they make for trigger upgrades and stuff.
Well, Simon, for somebody who's very proficient in firearms, just for the common, the layman, how important is a trigger to operable firing?
It's probably one of the most important elements that you've got on the rifle. Because with a bad trigger pull, your accuracy will go down the toilet every pull. So a smooth operating trigger, that's what you're looking for, and you can pay some good money for the quality. But I mean, I know Timney is one of the big names out there, and like I say, I went up to the table and every trigger was an absolute delight. I mean, you can't ask for better.
So for us, with the bolt guns, for doing the precision matches, you want something that's going to be able to take abuse. We're all running high pressure rounds. We're trying to get the most out of these cartridges that aren't supposed to be putting out the numbers that we're getting out of them. So with Timney, their design is real simple and bulletproof. So they can take just constant abuse. Whether we're blowing primers and stuff, it ends up sending the firing pin back, slams the sear, and these triggers just hold up better than a lot of things. Obviously, a lot of these guys are running, 8-ounce triggers, all the way up to a pound. To most people, that seems super light, but to us, after a while, it gets a little light. And with that crisp, clean break, it makes a world of difference on trying to make shots. Like we're shooting off these weird barricades and props. That trigger is probably one of the most important things on that gun. Smooth action, good feeding, and having your data right and everything. That trigger brings it all together.
Yeah, it's a big step in making a marksman to an expert, and a lot of the time it's down to the trigger.
Something as simple as a trigger.
Yeah, very much so. Good optics, good trigger, good to go.
So for the competitors here today, what kind of a difference would a different trigger make for them? Something different than stock? Something if they went and purchased one of your products, what kind of efficiency is that going to increase for their productivity out here on the range?
Okay, so a lot of the factory production guns, now they're coming out with aftermarket triggers. Like Daniel Defense will use a Timney. Some of the other companies will use a Trigger Tech. With a lot of your standard like Brownings and whatnot, those are set up for hunting. Those guys aren't going to let them come down, below 3 pounds. I think a big reason for that too, coming out of those factories, is liability. You got guys that they might be avid deer hunters and stuff, but they're not competitive shooters. You can't give that guy an 8-ounce or a 1-pound trigger to go into the woods with. So there's a huge difference in the level of experience that guys are using from buying a store-bought rifle to what we're using. Makes sense.
Yeah, I went straight to the 1-pound trigger and went, that's the one for me.
That's the one you prefer, huh?
Oh, all day long.
For any specific reason?
I don't like resistance when I'm making that last squeeze, because when you come up against a heavier trigger, that's when you can make mistakes.
Hesitation?
not hesitation. You can pull. You can
Pull the gun out of it.
Yeah, you're going to pull a shot with a bad trigger operation.
Yeah, with some of these guys, some guys will like a single stage trigger, they like to just rest their finger up against it and have it break. And then you have other guys who like to load up in the triggers and they'll go to like a 2-stage trigger. Some of them will have an 8-ounce first pull and then another 8-ounce second pull. And it's different feel for the guns and how guys get into these guns.
So you guys came in here from, you're operating out of Phoenix, Arizona, correct?
Timothy's out of Phoenix, Arizona. We came up from South Florida.
South Florida, wow. That's
So little Franklin County.
That's still quite a bit of ways to go.
Right on.
So how far back does your knowledge with guns go? Do you have a military or an LEO background, or is it something that was?
So actually, I started working on guns when I was 8 years old with my dad.
Wow.
My dad was president of a gun club, so I always worked on guns and refinished guns, and then got with one of his buddies who was an armorer in the military during Vietnam and stuff. So I learned a lot from those guys, and then I spent a bunch of time with the Army over in Afghanistan and everything, and then ended up getting retired from them, and now I have my own rifle shop down in South Florida.
Well, we appreciate your service. My brother spent quite a bit of time in Afghanistan, and I was in Iraq, so me and him go back and forth all the time about, talking crap about that sort of thing. But at the end of the day, it kind of is all the same. And for somebody to have that kind of profession, and then you come here to a competition like that, I mean, I was touching on it a little bit earlier, but the professionalism on a range here, like a professional, I mean, the military can't even match the precision, the professionalism, everything. If every military individual was trained in safety and precision like this range is today, you'd probably have a whole lot more accurate shooters in the military. But once again, that's an economic thing. It takes a lot of money, a lot of rounds, and how much time do you really want to spend on proficiently? A
lot of dedication.
A dedication for somebody who's in quartermaster in the military, or an office manager or a JAG officer. You really don't want to make them proficient, but.
Well,
these guys love what they do.
Yeah, and the difference is, there's actually a lot of Special Forces Group guys here today that you wouldn't even know it unless you went and started talking to them, or if you knew them from, outside of the PRS. So these are the guys that, they don't want to just be Special Forces. They want to be even better.
Yes.
We get some law enforcement guys. Most of them, they want to be SWAT, but they're not like just gun guys. Like, they're not involved in the culture. So these guys here, they've really taken it to the next level, and their lethality is just through the roof. Some of these guys, we started shooting with them 4 or 5 years ago. I remember they were just getting their asses handed to them while they were shooting. And now, some of them they're just so tough to beat because they get to train all the time, and they're so good and so talented.
It's mind-boggling the precision it takes, but it's also something, and I will give the military credit on this. You can take somebody who has no idea what they're doing with a weapon and teach him to be able to be proficient. So at the least, that's something they can accomplish. As far as taking it to the next level with a lot of people, I think that's where they lack. But
the next level starts at 800 yards.
Well, that's true, too, because a lot of the military, the guys that are training these courses, they were trained by the snipers before them and the snipers before them. You take a guy like Philip Vallejo, who got into PRS, and he brought a lot of that stuff back to the Scout Sniper program, and it just escalated their abilities to where most of these guys now, like with the Army guys, they're trained to shoot minute of man. We're shooting targets here that are small, so if you were sent overseas, those targets are huge compared to what we're shooting out here in these matches.
Yeah, I mean, that's a sobering thought. But I mean, the fact that you're, easily attempting 1,000 yards, that's not a mean feat. It's, I just admire people that are able to do that, because not everyone can. I mean, it's an art. There's no question.
It takes quite a bit of patience.
It is, but technology has helped with that too.
Hugely.
The ballistic apps and everything, and getting ballistic data, and the rounds that we're shooting are so efficient. They're not like a NATO round. They're just better.
Having said that, wind will make a bad day worse.
Yeah, it's turned a lot of people up today. The right winds, the left winds, everything coming down these valleys.
It would look very changeable. And I mean, hey, that's the challenge, though, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, we'd be remiss if we didn't kind of touch on, as far as the political landscape is concerned, how much does that affect what you all do? I mean, I mean, I've got friends, like we mentioned earlier, Austin Chocolate with the Blue Ridge Brass, and a lot of the issues he faces, he's spoken to me before about, you know, it's something as simple as not being able to get payments processed because PayPal and Visa will not work with him just because he is working with, you know, guns and weapons and ammo. I mean, is this something that you all have to deal with quite a bit as well?
Actually, that's a great talking point. So when we set up our website for our shop, we had everything going through QuickBooks. A while back, QuickBooks out of the blue shut down like firearms and ammunition companies for even being able to do payroll. When I set up with QuickBooks, I mean, the system was great, but then they reviewed my website and they said, oh, we found out that we see that you do firearms. That doesn't align with our company policy and views. I'm like, really? They said, you can still use the accounting software, but you can't do any type of invoicing. So we had to go through a whole bunch of stuff to find out which e-commerce platform that we could use for our website, payment processing. It's been a pain in the butt, but you get chastised for being in the firearms community. Even
can you just say the name of that company one more time?
QuickBooks.
QuickBooks, okay,
Yeah,
you know what to do.
Well,
Deep Six it, folks.
Yeah.
Deep Six QuickBook.
QuickBooks will not deal with anything that's firearms or CBD related.
Won't be dealing with them anymore.
And then U.S. Bank, I had an account through them, and I was talking with one of the girls at the bank, and she said, "Oh, I see your firearms company." She says, "Oh, if you tried to open an account right now, we wouldn't be able to open it for you." I said, "Why is that?" She goes, "You deal with firearms, and that doesn't align with our company policy." I said, "Can you go ahead and close my accounts out?" And I went straight over to Wells Fargo, and they've been great.
That company, the bank was again?
That one was U.S. Bank.
Okay, Deep Six that one too.
Simon, he does not pull any punches whatsoever, and that's what I love about him. And this goes to a greater extent of what we talked about earlier. I mean, this is just it's nonsensical to be able to put people through the ringer just to be able to do commerce in this country, and especially when you come here today and you see the professionalism that is being conducted with an event like this, and how they will insure and bank literal criminals and some of the people that they will do business with, and something as professional as an event like this, you have to jump through hoops. And I just think it's a travesty.
This is a constitutional right, and the most un-American thing you can do is trample on your constitution. We will vote with our pocketbooks, and the companies that do this, guess what? Here it goes again. You can kiss my ass.
Well, at least we haven't dropped any F-bombs today yet.
Not today.
And
He ain't done yet.
no, we still got a ways to go. But, you know, once again, it's not only is it a constitutional right, but when you come out here and you hear the arguments on the news all the time, oh, it's just a sport and this and this. This is a very professional sport and a very professional competition that has been conducted here today.
It's an Olympic sport. Go figure that one out.
And if you have any reservations, I implore you to come out here and check it out and see the professionalism that has been going on with the sport. But these aren't just like athletic competitors. These are people who are protecting your communities. These are people who are protecting your country. I mean, a little bit of leeway, a little bit of give and take should be understandable, correct?
Yeah, the persecution here, it's outrageous, and quite frankly, it's got to stop.
And to be able to deal with that kind of stuff, and we can appreciate and understand it. You know, hopefully we can all figure out a way to move around it. But we completely support what you guys are doing, and
we appreciate what you do.
Yeah, absolutely. And you were also mentioning GRC. To a greater extent than the company representing here today. Talk about GRC just here for a minute for everybody that might be interested.
Oh, GCP, yeah, it's Gulf Coast.
I'm saying GCP. I'm so forgive me. I've had a couple.
All folded up.
Couple of tinnies.
Yes.
So we're precision rifle builders in South Florida. We build custom rifles that we use, for this type of shooting. We build rifles for SWAT teams. We build rifles for just your average everyday hunter that wants a better than average off-the-shelf gun that's going to print, quarter-inch groups with factory ammo for their next elk hunt. We also do a lot of custom gunsmithing down in Florida. We're not like a mom-and-pop shop where you come in and buy Glocks or anything like that. It's a boutique shop, and we just do custom stuff to where it's gotten to the point in South Florida that a lot of gun shops, they're armorer level. So when they have, really hard things to work on, they come up to our shop and get it handled and get sent back to them.
Well, I'd say based off just the political climate of the last couple of years, Florida really has become one of the bastions of freedom in this country. So at the least, you at least have that to work with down there.
Yeah,
Hopefully it
Florida's
has
great.
been quite a bit easier being in.
I was getting ready to say, I'm surprised Ron DeSantis doesn't told U.S. Bank and QuickBooks to stop selling in Florida.
I'll tell you what, his hands are full, and he's doing a great job.
Yeah, he is.
Yes, he is.
Just give him time, and he'll tell them to bugger off.
Oh man, what he's done to our state, and he's just said no to what Washington's trying to do. It's just you've got people flooding down like crazy. Like it's amazing how much it's just.
Who has ever stood up to Disney?
Oh my God, that was awesome.
I'm 100% a fan after that.
Yeah, he doesn't pull any punches, man. That guy, he does it how it is, and he's right.
I'm a big DeSantis fan.
I would, as a libertarian, I would say that I would take DeSantis over 99.99% of the politicians out there any day of the week.
And we still got people down in Florida that are coming down from the north, and they're coming from those blue states, and they sit there and they gripe about him lifting these bans for the COVID and stuff, and they just go around and they call him Death Santis. I'm like, you got to be. Why are you here then?
Then why are you?
Yeah,
here?
why did you come down here?
We've always
Why
now.
don't you just stay in New York?
I'm the Englishman, all right. No skin in the game. But
It's just like these politicians who swear up and down that climate change is going to put us under, all our coast is going to be underwater by 2020, and yet they go out here and buy $30 million beachfront properties. It's like, if you really believe what you're saying, then why are you buying beachfront property?
Nancy Pelosi just bought a $25 million house down in Florida. It's like
Oh, did she?
$25 million.
What was
Right
that
on the beach.
before or after her husband was caught drunk driving?
That was after, because she
Oh,
just
good
did that
one.
or actually before. So she just did that like maybe 6 months ago, 8 months ago.
Oh, well,
it's another tax evasion scheme from her, I can assure you.
Oh yeah, but she's sitting there bashing Florida, and then she leaves California and buys a place down there.
Or like our wonderful New York Congresswoman Alexander Ocasio-Cortez, who screams up and down about how Florida is a death trap. Yet that's where she goes and vacations at, and she doesn't wear a mask or anything to that. I mean, granted, we're all just sitting here, kind of just griping and complaining about things you all know about, but it is pointing out the utter hypocrisy that these people, and if they're going to be hypocritical on issues like this, they're being hypocritical on issues like firearms as well.
So I'm just still blown away by the Nancy Pelosi buying a house in Florida. With all the people vacating California, we'll be able to take that state back before long.
Yeah, the problem is they're bringing their politics where they go.
Well,
That's a problem.
Well, no, and I, to an extent, I do agree about that, but I would like to believe that a lot of the people who are leaving these blue states and blue, because there's no such thing as a blue state. There's only red states with blue cities.
That's a great way to put it. That's a great way to put it.
There isn't.
Yeah.
Find me. I mean, the last electoral map will sit there and prove that
You're right.
the only places that were blue were metropolitan cities. So
I never thought about it, but he's actually right on that.
no, there's no such thing as blue states.
I gave
but
Billy a right, by the way. I said he's right.
That's a rarity right there. But
What's the time and date?
I disagree with him on purpose on everything, just to irritate the shit out of him, and he knows it, and he does the exact same thing to me, so it's a mutual agreement to irritate each other.
except sometimes I wish I could just hit him up in the side of the head with a sack full of doorknobs. But back to what we were saying. I mean, the hypocrisy all around by these people, and a lot of these red states like Florida, they're seeing a surgence. Yes, the immediate response is, well, they're going to bring their politics here. But honestly, I think it's a lot of the red voters who are moving. The blue voters are sticking around saying, well, if we get these red people out of here, we'll really have the utopia that we all envision.
Good luck with it.
They're completely disillusioned, and that's not going to happen. But I have a lot of hope that it is red-leaning, right-leaning, conservative-leaning, constitutional-abiding people that are the ones who are leaving these places.
Yeah, choke them with a checkbook. That's the only way to do it.
I think so.
I think we started with Twitter.
Yeah.
I mean, in a roundabout way.
That was a good start.
It was a good start, and I think it's going to have repercussions. Even CNN knows they're failing now, and their CEO's like, we got problems.
Well, yeah, go woke, go broke.
Go figure. Go woke, go broke.
Yeah, and I think they've actually got the Washington Post now, like actually taking shots at the Biden administration.
It's a beautiful thing. They're going to eat themselves. It's going to be just epic.
They are eating themselves. That is kind of cool.
Well, the Washington Post is one of the big reasons why we started this podcast in the first place. You know, they had the nerve, them and the New York Times, to come down to our community here and just paint us as a bunch of slack-jawed, hillbilly, redneck racists, and you couldn't be further from the truth.
I say, old chap, I take offence at that.
And so I mean, we owe them quite a bit for, for all of our enthusiasm that we have gathered. So
Yeah, but think about it. Look at who owns the Washington Post.
well, yeah, but I mean,
I believe it's
we
Bezos.
we shouldn't. I mean, billionaires owning media outlets is the devil. You know, I mean that's what they say now that Elon is opening up Twitter, but when Jeff Bezos takes over the Washington Post, silence, nothing.
Crickets.
Crickets. We don't care about billionaires when it's somebody that,
And they turned on him quicker than a ferret down a rabbit
and
hole.
they will eat their own in the end. That's why, I implore people to stay strong and continue to support, people who are going to hold up the Constitution, people that are here today, that are being a part of this event. People like Brad and Josh and even Simon and some of the side projects he does.
And this guy's supplying
Rick.
proper triggers.
Yes, absolutely. Everybody here is doing their part to some degree or another, and we should all be able to appreciate that and acknowledge it and have an understanding that, the Second Amendment, whether it's number 2 or 12 or 1, is the most important amendment we have, because you don't have any of the rest of them without the second.
Roger that.
Not one of them. So it's been a hell of a time down here today, and being able to bring some of these people on and learn some of these things has been a great educational process for myself and hopefully for all the fans we have out here who listen to this show.
Yep.
And I mean, Simon, I know you've been super impressed with today, and as far as I'm concerned, even me being a weapons specialist in the military, I have a lot of respect for you and the things that you bring to the table and the knowledge that you have, and to see you come down here today and just be blown away by professionalism really speaks volumes.
You got the country's finest here today in little old Franklin County, and I rejoice in that.
Yep.
We do. So we're going to go ahead and get out of here today. We've been going kind of long. We're about at 2 hours and 5 minutes or so now. But it's been a fantastic day. We've had a great time. We sincerely appreciate everybody that's allowed us to be a part of this. Hopefully we get to come down here next time and maybe get Josh back on again to go more into detail. And, for being able to bring somebody like Rick, what's your last name?
Scrivens.
That is extremely easy and difficult all at the same time.
That's English.
It's kind of very English name. Yeah,
Yeah.
jolly good show.
I was going to say you got a mate right over here that's right up your alley.
Off to the pub we go.
But we've had an absolute ball up here today. So to be able to come up here and talk about guns and weapons and the Second Amendment and how important it is, and even touching on the Libertarian Party and how far they've come, because I'm a hardcore Libertarian. It's been quite an honor. And Rick, for you guys to come up here and to be a part of our community and to come up here and bring your business up here, it means a great outfit deal to us.
Yep, we appreciate it.
I hope you have a profitable weekend.
I appreciate it. Is this the first PRS match you guys have seen?
Yes, sir.
Yep.
Yeah.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah,
For me,
totally
yeah.
different type of competition. I'm
Yeah,
glad you guys
it's
enjoyed
something else. We live right. I'm 5 minutes down the road. It's where I live. All of us grew up and were born here and raised in Franklin County.
Not him.
Except for Simon. Of
Uh-oh.
course, he immigrated here from France, and
Turks and Caicos Islands. Seriously.
I was going to say Alabama, but
I normally say northern Mississippi, but no one seems to believe me.
Northern Mississippi works. It works.
think it does.
It works. That's the only one that works, but it works. But yeah, we've had a fantastic time here today. And getting I wish we could have got one of the competitors on today, but hopefully we'll be back here again next time. Maybe with a better idea of how we're going to work things out. But I've had a blast
Yep, they have
It's been absolutely fantastic.
to be able to come here and speak on behalf of the Second Amendment and gun owners and manufacturers
And just cool people in general.
And cool people in general. And
This is a really terrific community here.
it is
Super
and-
welcoming.
And Rick, for you, thank you so much for coming on here, giving us a few minutes of your time. Timmy Triggers, go check them out. Are y'all on Facebook and all that kind of stuff?
Yeah,
I'm
Timmy
assuming.
Triggers, Facebook, Instagram.
And GCR Rifle Company. And what about your shop down in South Florida?
GCP Rifle,
GCP,
Florida.
right. Did I screw it up again?
Yes, you did.
I said B, didn't I?
I don't know what you said, but it wasn't GCP.
I said no. I said it was GCP.
No, you said GCR.
Oh my God, I'm sorry.
All right.
I've had a few. So, and your gun shop down in Florida. What's the name of that? Go ahead.
It's
Oh,
GCPRifleCo.com.
okay, you're doing okay. Same thing. So, check them out for my South Florida buddies. I know I got some of y'all on here to listen to this. Go give this man and this company your business. And for Timmy Triggers, Pigg River Precision, Brad Kennett, Scott Minix, thank you for coming up here today and helping us out with load stuff in and out of here. Jeff Simon, anything else from y'all gentlemen?
Nope.
I'm looking forward to next year already.
We've got some great shows coming up for y'all here in the future. You can check us out on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. We are now on Patreon too. Patreon.com/GetOnTap. $3 a month. You'll get all of our episodes before they come out on your standard platforms. And $3 a month. I mean, that's $36 a year to give us. Half of y'all are giving Netflix $90, and Netflix hates you. We don't hate you. Support local. Support your local individuals, things like this. And that's about all I got. Come find us, check us out, give us a review. And
Until next time.
Until you see you next time. Rick, thanks again. Simon,
Have a great weekend.
I will catch you here in a couple of weeks. We got another show we're going to do. A very important show.
I'm on.
Franklin County. The rest of us, Jared Stout Band coming on here in a couple of days. Talk about their show with Joe Nichols. Thank you again, and we'll catch you next time.